What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian
I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you.
Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues.
Now please welcome to the ice for their pregame warm-up, presented by Scott Credit Union. Yours.
Blue Note Fan Report. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. This is an off day talk show. We're going to be talking hockey. That's right. We're going to talk about the Blues and the Jets, Game 5. Got a lot of thoughts. I'm not alone. I'll get there. We're going to talk about the current games. There are two games going on the ice right now. I think one of them will finish up while we're still live, maybe two of them, and the other two will be starting. Right now, Toronto is up 2-1 on the Ottawa Senators. The big guns are the guys that have scored for Toronto, Matthews and Nylander. We'll talk a little bit about Nylander, I think. For Ottawa, the St. Louis guy, Brady Tkachuk. In the other aspect of this, the last I looked, and I'm saying that because I haven't looked in a little bit. I've got a couple other things going on. The Knights and the Wild were tied at 1 at the end of one, and that looks like it is still correct. That is correct. Goal scorers, Theodore for the Knights on a power play goal, and the anti-Christ or whatever you want to call him, Hartman for the Wild. God, I'm never getting over it. I don't understand how guys like that still get to play. I just don't get it, man. I'm still digesting that game. Baden, I think a lot of people are. And we're going to talk about that tonight. And tonight, I'm not going to be alone. That's right. So you guys all know that I don't mind if you want to come on and talk, I don't mind that. Now, I am a little gun shy. I will admit that because I have been trolled in the past. So when someone reaches out to me, I step back a little bit, but I create a conversation, right? I did that yesterday with somebody. This person started, reached me on X, and we started a conversation. He showed up on yesterday's show a little bit, and today he asked, can we talk? And originally I was going to go work, but I had a bad day at work. Just had a bad ride right off the bat. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go do a show. So I want to welcome from the great state of Missouri, Mr. Justin Scott.
How you doing, guy?
Justin, I am doing great. Welcome to the show, buddy.
I wanted to start off and say I appreciate you giving me the time and effort to sit down and chat today about the game last night and other things going around the league. I've always wanted to get my voice out there, and I can't be more thankful that you gave me the opportunity to do that.
Well, like I said, I am very cautious because I have been trolled in the past, and people that watch this show know what I'm talking about. And I am very cautious, and you understood. We had a couple of good conversations. You showed up on the show yesterday, so it made me feel comfortable about bringing you on. Why don't you tell everyone before we get started and we start talking about the things that you want to talk about? Give everybody a little bio on yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from,
All right.
how you got into sports, how you got into blues hockey, and all that. Just give everybody a quick bio.
Well, as you can see, my name is Justin. I am 25 years old, so still a youngin'. I think I realistically got into hockey at a really, really young age. My dad was very big into hockey. Me and him still go to a bunch of Blues games. Usually, we try to go every year. We actually went to Game 4 this postseason, and that was a fantastic time. I think the biggest thing for me to share about myself is I actually suffer from a bleeding disorder. Hemophilia, if you've heard of it, Guy, or anyone in the chat. It's a bleeding disorder, and because of it, I wasn't able to really pursue most of the stuff I wanted to do because I wanted to be a hockey player, but I can't do that because I could easily get hurt with the internal bleeding that I could suffer. And as we talked before, I also am legally blind, so my vision is not spectacular.
Well, like I said, you can't see and I can't hear, so what a great couple.
what a great combination.
Yeah. Most people, if they ever like put my headphones on and listen to what the sound is, they would like yank them off right away, right? But
Yeah.
I have to have it that loud, or I can't hear it, right? That when alarms go off in the house, my wife or someone will say, "Hey, there's an alarm go." I don't hear it, right? I don't hear it. I don't hear the little beeps and all that stuff. So I get it. And I wear contacts too, glasses, contacts. So I understand. My vision's not as bad as yours, but bad enough. I kind of lost my place there for a second. Let's talk about, and you brought this up. You want to talk about Game 5, and I'm going to let you give your thoughts on Game 5 first, and then I'll kind of give mine. And I know that we have a differencing of opinion, and that's fine. Don't take it the wrong way. That's what this show's all about. This is a debate show, believe it or not. People don't realize that. The thing is when you put quotes or comments in the comments, if you're watching, I have a platform to discuss those. And sometimes I disagree. And the bad reality of that is you get to hear mine, but not hear yours. You see yours. So that gets some people upset when I disagree with them. So I just don't want you upset if I disagree. We're going to have a fruitful discussion. How's that sound, bud?
Oh yeah, I think that sounds great. I mean, believe me, I'm a polarizing figure. I think most people would disagree with my takes. Most people would probably put me in the category of being more of a homer stance on some things. But the way that I kind of look at Game 5 is I knew from the jump, right? This Winnipeg team came to St. Louis. They got absolutely demolished in Games 3 and 4. So you knew going back to Winnipeg, especially getting Gabe Vidar back, that it would be massive for that team. And we knew that they were going to be coming out and jumping up at the start. But the way that I felt about this game in the first period just made me think that the officials were just not good in this game, like flat out. And I know we talked about it before the show, but the refs were not good for either side. And I do agree with that. There was a lot of missed calls. But the first period especially was very frustrating if you were a Blues fan. I mean, you look at that hit on Mark Scheifele, and some will say it was dirty, some will say it wasn't. I'm in the camp of that it's just a hockey play. I mean, you go back to I think it was Game 2 when Logan Stanley hit Kyrou, and Blues fans weren't up in arms about, oh, Logan Stanley needs to get suspended and all this BS about how he should be suspended. But we have Winnipeg fans, up in arms like, oh, comparing this hit to the hit on Hagel in Game 4. Yeah. How can you look at the Braden Shin hit and compare that to the hit on Brandon Hagel by Aaron Ekblad? I mean, Aaron Ekblad, you can physically see him forearm shiver Hagel right in the face. There was no head contact in this hit. And then on top of it, they're talking about a suspension-worthy hit. I don't agree with that because, first of all, Scheifele got up. Not only did he get up, headlocked Braden Shin, with two Jets players, and Braden Shin gets a extra roughing call when he didn't do anything but hit the guy. It's playoff hockey.
I'm with you on this, right? I'm with you on this. First of all, to me, the ref's job is to control the game, to not let a game get out of control. And they did not do that from the get-go. The penalties that they called early were so ticky-tack that it does the exact opposite. It does not get a game under control, right? The way you get a game under control for refs in an environment like that is you call offsetting penalties, right? You don't go 4-on-4 because 4-on-4 is always gonna go off another team. You call some 5-minute misconduct. You call things that are offsetting, so it's not 4-on-4, and you can do that. It's not like it used to be. They used to have straight offsetting penalties, and then they went to the 4-on-4. But the hit that Shen put on, first of all, the league has already come out and said no supplemental discipline. So that's telling me right there, the league thought it was a legal hit. Now, here's the thing: I look at that hit, and I put this one of the things that I said when I put up the show today was, and I want to see if I can read this right. Make sure I read this right. Mark Scheifele took it to the chest, but thinks he took it on the chin. Everyone thinks that was a headshot, but it wasn't. He hit him solid in the chest. Now, the other part of that was he left his feet. Not until after the hit, right? He didn't. Yep. He came forward, came off his feet. When a guy leaves his feet going through the hit, I don't always look at that unless it's an illegal hit, because he went through the check. It was the only issue was, and I think my problem was with the puck, is at one point Scheifele had the puck and then it got knocked into the air. I don't think Shen had a chance to avoid it. That's why I don't think the league put anything out. Not only that, I seen another thing. After the hit, Shen plays 6 more minutes. Foska's hit, he doesn't come back to the ice. So, like Montgomery said, it may have been Foska's hit, not Shen's. Right?
And I don't like to get on coaches because
he might have froze on me real quick. Give him a second. This happens sometimes over the internet. Give him a moment to see if he comes back. And I just talked about this.
I've always. Can you hear me? Or
you froze for a second.
Sorry. I was saying that I don't like to get on to coaches because I've always said it. I don't like how coaches and players don't have an organic approach to things sometimes. I mean, I do think the media ask a bunch of, dumb questions and all that, but it seems like most of the times that these guys are reading from like a teleprompter.
Yeah.
So I like when we see a little bit of organicness and a little bit of chirpiness, pushback. My thing with the Scott O'Neill thing, I don't know how in depth you've kind of read into that and all that, and about him, saying like, oh, I don't know where Montgomery got his medical degree from. But buddy, you don't have a medical degree either. So who are you to say what you think? He's giving his opinion. Scheifele got up, played 6 more minutes, and then didn't play after the Foxa hit. So what that tells me is the Shin hit did not do much of anything. I mean, it probably cleaned his clock, but it wasn't the main reason why Scheifele got taken out of this game.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you on that. But see, here's the thing. I love playoff coaching because they will, during the regular season, they get in front of that mic and they keep that mouth shut. What they say is meant for their team and their team alone. That's it. Every now and then they'll get upset over something and call out the league, but for the most part, they keep their mouth shut. During a series where you're playing the same team, that stuff that's some psychological warfare going back and forth, and I love it. And in fact, so I don't know how long you've been watching me or seeing my show. I am not. I'm not a Berube fan. I did not get on the Berube bandwagon like everybody else did. Well, actually, I got on it. I got off it pretty quick. But during the 19, Berube did one thing during the 19 run that was absolutely freaking perfect, and he gets zero credit for it. It was the best thing he could do, and it galvanized his team that they come back and are who they need to be when they come back. Do you know what I'm talking about?
If I'm to make a guess, I'm gonna go with it was the hand pass in Game 3 against San Jose.
Absolutely, because he came out and he told the team, we're not going to talk about the hand pass. Right? It's over. It's done. Next step. He goes out and tells the media the exact same thing. And you could tell that team, it got removed from their mind. It did, because when they came out in that next game, that was a tight game 4. Everyone remembers game 5 and 6 because they were the blowouts. Game 4 was a 2-1 game, right? Yeah. That was a really tight game. And if I remember right, the Blues either scored late or that game went into overtime. I can't remember. I don't think it was overtime. It scored late.
I think it was late. Yeah. If I'm reading
that was a game that could have gone either way. Yet because you have a team that's not thinking about the bad play the game before, it put it where it was. Yesterday's game, I've seen a lot of we didn't play good. I don't. Right? I think what happens is when a team loses, we seem to put way too much emphasis on the team that lost and not enough emphasis on the team that won. I got to tell you, and this is even if I get a Winnipeg fan in here, I don't care. That was the first game in this series that Winnipeg actually won.
Oh, I wholeheartedly believe that.
From almost puck drop to final whistle, that Winnipeg won. Games 1 and 2, I can't say that. And even in that game, Blues are down 1-0, came back. Down 2-1, came back. Then, I mean, it ends up being 3-2, and they pull the goalie too early. But Walker gets a second goal, and it's 5-3. Garbage time. I didn't see the goal. I admit it. I had something else I had to do.
It was just the typical fourth line. I mean, just playing until the end, and that's pretty much they were noticeable last night. The fourth line,
and that was one thing I heard. Now, Lou Coric to me is the most anti guy out there. And while you were talking, I came up. I don't know if you saw my face, but in my group, I have my own group on Facebook called the Hawaii STL Blues Fan Clan. And in that group, I have allowed a writer from The Last Word on Hockey to post in that group. And he put an article. I haven't read it, but the title already pisses me off. To force Game 7, the St. Louis Blues need more from a star. And can you guess which player he's talking about?
I'm going to say Robert Thomas.
Nope. No one gives Robert Thomas any gruff.
Okay, good, because he doesn't deserve any gruff.
Well, either does this player. Believe it or not, either does this player. But he gets it.
You got me stumped. I'm curious. Who?
Kyrou. Right? Kyrou.
Yeah.
Everyone gets down on Kyrou. And this is where Berube lost me. Was Kyrou and Thomas. I remember during the season, I think it was the 2021-22 season, right? And this was the season Montgomery was the offensive coordinator, right? Offensive coach. And the Blues, had really good. At some point in that season, I think it was that season. It might have been the season after. I think actually, now that I think about it, it might have been the season after Montgomery left. There's a point where Berube is chirping on Thomas, and Tarasenko gets between Thomas and Berube and basically tells Berube, we don't do that. Right? It told me right then and there what was going on in that locker room. That was huge. That was huge to me. And that's kind of why I lost my Berube pom-poms. Right?
Yeah.
Because and then I know, I say I'm 90% sure of something that happened during the bubble. And I don't tell people because I was told it in confidence. And it shows, right? When I look at game 5, there's a big question. When you get games, you hear, did this team lose it or did the other team win it? And when you go and ask me, did the Blues lose game 5 or did Winnipeg win it? I got to say, I think Winnipeg won it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, was it the Blues' best effort they could have put forward?
Probably
no.
not.
But this, the thing with this is I do agree with you 100%. This was the first game that it felt like Winnipeg won this game and won it fairly and won it, no doubt, anything. But the thing is, with that aspect of things, I also have to put it like this. Even though the Blues didn't play the best game, it still was a 1-goal game. So I look at it like this a little bit. I kind of feel like it still should worry some Winnipeg fans that, yeah, they won this game and they played probably the best game of the series, but they still only won this game by 1 goal.
No, it was 2, 5-3.
Well, 5-3, but empty netters. I don't count empty netters. I count them when they're in the net.
Well, the problem here is you got to kind of count that empty netter, because when the empty netter went in, it was 4-2.
Okay, right? So I guess that is true.
Yeah, so to me, this is where I kind of look at a game. Where does that empty netter come in? Does it if the empty netter comes in when it's a 2-goal game and you get the one, but yeah, that's why I kind of look at it that way, right? Mm-hmm. Where does the empty netter? This was not as much of a 1-goal game as the other games were, though it was for a long period, right?
Yeah,
for a long period, because they got 2 in the third. The important thing here, not counting they got 3 in the third, not counting they got 2 in the third. That's right, because it was 3-2. I think it was 3-2 going in, or did they? I can't even remember now. I got to go look.
Yeah, I think it was
score sheet real quick.
I think it was 3-2 going into the third.
So it was 3-2 going into the third, right? And then Lowry gets that goal late to make it 4-2, and then now I'm looking wrong. No, it was 4-3 going into. It was 4-3 going into the third, right? And
was it? No, because we scored late in the third period.
Yeah, late in the third at the 18:51 mark, and then so in the third period they came with that defense, and the Blues, the way you beat that defense, and everyone misjudges how you beat that defense when a team is doing that. It's patience. You have to be patient, right? You have to let them come in too much. You have to control the puck. You have to do the things that are going to help you later. And I don't think that happened in that series, and it really did affect the whole period. So overall, did the Blues play their best game? No, they did not. But they played a decent game, right? I mean, I know Montgomery said it's our worst game. I think that was more coaches speak. Because I don't think it was. I mean, of the 5 games, was it their worst game? Yes, it was. But was it much worse than games 1 and 2? And in my eyes, it wasn't.
See, this kind of goes back to, this is kind of where it's polarizing for me. And don't get me wrong, like I said, the first period we talked about it, the official and all that, and I get how you can't just blame that all on the officials, because the Blues, they didn't have I think they had like 3 shots in the second period. Like that's just not going to do it. But it's just, when I'm looking at it, when you're on home ice in this series has played dividends for both teams in this series so far. But the way I think about officiating is, if you do what was right, if you do what was supposed to be done in that first period, Winnipeg does not gain the momentum that they do. This team coming into Winnipeg was dead in the water. This team was absolutely reeling coming out of St. Louis of game 3 and 4. So we knew that they were going to have a push, but I am not going to sit here and tell you that push was not helped by poor officiating, because it was. I have never seen a player get an embellishment call for bleeding. That is inexcusable to have in the playoffs.
That was a bad call. That was an absolute bad call. But, I mean, there was a tripping that was missed. There was another slashing that was called where you can see the Winnipeg player open his hand. Excuse me. But I did see there were missed calls on both sides. There was a Blues trip that didn't get called, where the Blues had tripped somebody, or there were some questionable hits that probably could have been roughing, and there were some other things. It all came down to what I said when I said at the beginning about the officials' job being to keep the game under control, and I don't think that they did that from the onset. Right?
No, I don't think they
did not have control of that from the onset, and that's why you get some of the things that happen. For me, here's the thing, and I kind of said this even earlier. All the pressure to me is on Winnipeg. The Blues have nothing to lose, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. If they lose game 6 or 7, they weren't supposed to be here.
Exactly.
Right? The quote right here behind me, right? That we weren't supposed to be here. And they've gone for the past 2 months. They've played the best hockey they could possibly play to get them to where they are. And I'm not looking. I keep saying, I've seen a whole bunch of stuff about, the Blues played so bad, this, that, and the other thing. This player's played bad, that player's played poor. No. Trade this player, trade that player. I love when a fucking fan says trade this player because he's so bad. That right there shows me the fan has absolutely zero understanding of how hockey works.
You got it. Yeah, you gotta love the couch GMs.
Right?
You gotta love that.
Well, here's the thing. You've got to play. Think about this. You got a player that you don't like that plays terrible, so you want to trade him. Who's going to take him? Mm-hmm. Who's going to take him? First of all, look at Brandon Saad. Brandon Saad is a absolute. I can't even think. Epitome of this case, right? Brandon Saad getting $5.5 million or whatever it was. The Blues and him were not. It was time to cut bait. They couldn't trade him. Nobody would take him for his salary, and the Blues, to their credit, weren't going to eat any. So they waive him. Somebody could have had him for free. Just picked him up. Nobody took him. Nobody took him.
might
Right.
add that I have a lot of respect for Brandon Saad. Me personally, I was always in the camp of, yeah, was he like producing a crazy amount? No, but like I was also in the camp of like he did exactly what the Blues needed him to do, like score 20 points, score 20 goals, and that was that. Like he did
But I only
he
think
did
he did that
exactly
one
what he
year.
needed to do.
My buddy Windy, right? Who big Blackhawks fan. We obviously know that. And the thing he said about Saad's good for 1 year. The second year of a contract, the third year of a contract, he just falls away. Now, I think he did have a good third year of this contract. I'd have to look it up here real quick, and I probably can. But overall, his contract, it was not. It was he was not. So the time he was with the Blues, right? He was with us for 3 years, for 3.5 years. 21-22. He played 78 games, 24 goals, 49 points. He played in 22-23, 71 games. He had 19 goals and 37 points. So there's that kind of dip that you see.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes back and he plays 82 games. He plays the full season for us. Plays every game, 26 goals, 42 points. It comes up a little, but that was like one of our worst seasons. Then this season he comes in, and in 29 games, he's got 6 goals and 8 points. I don't know if it's age that got to him, because I think he's how old is he?
He's definitely up there.
He's 32, so maybe age started to come in there a little bit. But overall, and even in Vegas, he played 43 games for Vegas. He ends up signing with Vegas after we release him and terminated his contract. Mutually terminate his contract so it doesn't hurt us. He played 43 games for Vegas. He was 7-9-16. So in almost, I don't want to say twice the games, but in 1.5 more games, played 29 for us, 43 for them. In 14 more games, he scored 1 more goal and 1 more assist, 2 more points. It was a minus 14 for a very good Vegas team.
Mm-hmm. Believe me,
go ahead, man.
The move itself, like it was good. Like I'm glad that the Blues did it. But like I said, I give a lot of respect to Brandon Saad because he didn't have to do that. He doesn't have to mutually bow out of his contract. So that's why I have a little bit of respect. But as for like the move and all that, like I was fine with it. Like Brandon Saad, he's aging. I think that the age is definitely hitting. But I do think that although he doesn't produce as much, I do think that he's a solid depth piece for any team.
Yeah,
That was just my.
He's a fourth line guy.
Yeah,
but you look at the fourth line we have, he's not better than any of our fourth liners.
No, our fourth line is great. Right. What a pickup!
We are paying our fourth line a little too much. I will admit that, but our fourth line's not bad. Right?
Mm-hmm. What a pickup Radek Faksa was.
Say again?
Just a fantastic. I said, what a pickup Radek Faksa was. The guy doesn't produce a crazy amount, but man, oh man, does he do like the center things correctly. Face-offs.
My problem with Faksa, look, what he does on the fourth line, great. Just like Shen. Or just like, not Shen, Steen, right? He's playing that same role that Steener played. Problem is, what he's getting paid isn't for that role, right? The role that he's playing, that's a $1.5 to $2 million guy, not a $3.5 to $4 million guy. And he's making like 3.35 or something along those lines, right?
Well, if I'm the Blues, right? So I know we got Sonny locked up, but to be honest, if I'm the Blues, if Radek Faksa will sign for a lower contract, I would extend him. I would, if you get a lower price for his contract. Not in threes, not in twos, maybe in the ones.
I'm probably in the minority on one thing Mariner next year. I do not, bud. Well, you know what? I don't think you're in the minority on that, but I think that, Peyton, I'm going to say something, and please do not take this personal. In fact, I won't say it until you understand that what I'm about to say is not personal. If you're willing to take that, then I will say what I'm going to say, because I want to hold up, because I don't want to upset him. No, because what I'm about to say, I don't want misconstrued, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in sports, in some sports, that guy, that big money superstar, can come to your team and elevate your team. Baseball, you put a big money guy on a lot of teams, and he's going to elevate that team. He's going to bring you wins, right? Football or basketball, absolutely. You bring that guy in, you put LeBron James on any team, and he's going to elevate that team and bring you wins, right? There's two teams. Hold on a second. I got to handle something. Two teams that guy means well, he just never says things the way he should. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. In hockey and in football, you can bring that superstar in, and it doesn't mean wins. You can bring that great quarterback in, but if you don't have somebody to throw it to, it doesn't mean wins. Might mean one, but it doesn't mean enough to elevate you. Hockey is the same way. And you know what? Prime example of this. In fact, I'm going to let you guys tell me who you think is the prime example of what I'm talking about. There's an absolute prime example of this right here, right now in front of our faces.
It's a good point. Are you referring to Kairu?
Nope.
No?
Nope. Nope. I mean, you don't have to think too hard. You might kind of, if you think about this, not Toronto, though a little bit. Toronto's a little bit. Toronto was the number 2 team in the West, I think, or in the East. So
no,
so
I think they finished first.
No, they were number 2. The Caps won the East.
Oh yeah, the Caps won the East. Right. So they won their division.
But there's another one that is there we go. There you go, Ryan. Nashville. Right? Nashville brought in all that talent, and it didn't gel. My issue with bringing a guy in like Marner, who's played on teams like played with Matthews and Tavares and some of the other guys they have, and hasn't gelled and hasn't worked. What makes you think he's going to come here and work? Because the difference in Toronto and St. Louis is one thing. There's one huge difference between Toronto and St. Louis, right? Could argue Rantanen going to the Hurricanes. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I see that. I think didn't he go to the Hurricanes and then get traded to Dallas because it didn't work or something like that?
Well, Rantanen was kind of a locker room cancer.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, there you go. So, and that's why with this Toronto team or with Marner, I'm concerned about that. What's going on in the locker room up there? Now Berube's coming. He's helped this team out with his defensive strategy, and it's working now. And you know what? They may win a cup with this defensive strategy, but I guarantee you, with the guys that they got, it's not going to continue. Matthews is not going to be happy scoring 40 goals a year. The guy is a 60-goal scorer, and he's not going to be happy seeing his numbers drop that much because that's his paycheck. That's his job. He's not a two-way. This is what Berube did to Kyrou. Matthews is not a two-way player, and he should never, ever, ever be made a two-way player. He did that to Tarasenko, and he has killed Tarasenko. Tarasenko should have right now be in the Hall of Fame talk, and he's not. Why not? Because Berube turned him into a two-way player and took away the things that were going to put him in the Hall of Fame. He coached the skill out of him. Berube is absolutely solid at doing that. And that's why I'm not a Berube fan. And I know I'm in the minority when it comes to that. Right?
Yeah, I would probably definitely agree that you're probably in the minority for most. Most people find Berube to be definitely a hero here in St. Louis. That's for sure. But that's I think that's, like you said, shadowed by the fact of, we won the cup. So, I mean, you can look at it like that. I mean, but I like the unique and out there kind of take. Not everybody has to think the same way or like the same people. Yeah. I think that's the joy of having your own voice.
Right. I'm hope, I know my voice is different. I know I'm out there a little bit, but it's just the way I see things, I'm sorry. And I got like 5 different, I apologize to you. I got a few different things going on here that I'm trying to deal with. So please forgive me.
No, you're okay.
We talked offline how my day was going today. So.
Yeah. I think going back to the original talking point of like Marner, like I think the prospect of having a Marner, it's probably going to draw a lot of interest from St. Louis fans, and I can understand that. I think Marner is a great player, but then you kind of look at it like this: like, is Marner a guy that's going to show up for you in big key moments?
Where are you going to put him? Right there. That's my first question. Where do you put Marner? Who do you move? And if you say Kyrou, I'm going to slap you across your fucking face. Pardon the language there.
I mean,
I told you, there's a perfect time for the F-bomb.
Kyrou, okay, so Kyrou is an interesting character. I will not sit here and say that I was on the Kyrou bandwagon a lot, but for this year, this has been a outstanding year for Kyrou, and you just look at his game from a two-way perspective. The guy is a positive on the season for plus minus. He was not that way. The guy is improving on his back check. His back check is incredibly improved. He's not lackadaisical coming back. Look, I do think a big part of Kyrou being successful is having the addition of Holloway. Holloway has really created a lot of space for Kyrou. Kyrou has been able to play his game because of Holloway.
Great point. That is a great point. But at the same time, I go back to this. I don't care about Kyrou's back check. I will never ever give a shit about Kyrou's back check or a bad pass or any. You know why? Because that's not what he's paid to do. Kyrou is paid the money he's paid to score goals.
It's a score. Yeah.
Right? That's what he's paid to do. All that other stuff is nice. But when he's on the ice, and this is the difference. You want to know why he's had such a good year this year? And it didn't happen until Montgomery came, because he got a coach that told him to do what you're supposed to do. He got a coach that said, score goals. And when this was the other thing that lost me on Berube. Berube is famous. If you ever listen to a Montgomery press conference and listen to a Berube press conference, Montgomery will discuss the bad things first and then say something like this quote behind me, or the one that's sitting here behind me. I can't point the right way, figure out where I'm going. There we go.
Yeah, you're good.
Something like that. That's positive. The last thing you remember, the thing that you remember is the last thing said, not the first thing. when Berube would come out and talk about, I remember one game, Kyrou had 4 points, had I don't think he had a hat trick. I think he had 2 goals and 2 assists. And the last thing out of Berube's mouth was, yeah, but that pass really cost us. He made a bad pass that gave up a goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I do
negativity. Oh, wow. 2-2. Ottawa ties it up in game 6.
Oh, did they?
7:20 to go.
Man, Toronto fans have got to be living in that deja vu, huh?
Who?
I said Toronto fans have to be living that deja vu, right?
Oh, yeah, they are. But I don't think this one's far from over. Only 17 shots each. This one's, it's going to open up. I think now at this point with the tied, it's going to open up. Oh, that was a bad clear by, I don't know who 23 is. He just a bad clear. It hit off the Ottawa player and stayed in the zone. And then they just couldn't get it out. And it was it bounced off of somebody. Yeah. It bounced off the net and it bounced off him into the net.
Oh, was it Perron that scores?
Yeah, no, Perron. Well, I don't know if Perron scored or if it hit. It looks like Greg was standing in front of the net, so I thought it hit Greg, but I didn't get a good look at it.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's
no, they got Perron listed.
Oh no, Perron scored. He hits it off the back of Stolarz.
Yeah,
what a crafty move by the veteran. Yep, yeah, Perron gets the goal.
So yeah, we'll see if that changes. So in the other game, the Knights are looking to close out the Wild and are leading 2-1 with. Oh no, wrong one. I think that might be the wrong. Nope, that game's still 1-1 apiece. I pulled up the wrong game summary. My bad.
Might I add that I gotta say I'm not a big Minnesota guy. I think Minnesota's like.
Yeah. I take that back. Hold on, sorry. At the end of 2, the Knights are up 2-1 on the Wild. Jack Eichel, the cancer, who never really was a cancer, scores with at the 16-12 mark of the second period to make it 2-1. There we go.
I believe it was on a breakaway, which is good because Eichel needs to step up. But going back to my point about, I'm not a big Minnesota fan. Me personally have always been in the camp of they're like a team of just completely just mid of the mid. But they've impressed me in this series, and I don't know if it's more so Minnesota impressing me or if it's Vegas playing with fire, because this series should not be as close as it should be. In my opinion, Vegas should have handled Minnesota, and the fact that they're in game. It's just impressive to me by Minnesota.
I sort of kind of disagree with you, right? The one thing that I look at so you go and you look at the points and you look at Winnipeg, who had 116 points in the regular season, right? And the Blues, who were the last team in the West, at 96. And you look at that 20-point difference and you go, wow, the Wild, and then the Knights had 110, the Wild had 97. That's a, huge, 13-point difference. That point difference is minuscule because you're looking at it through an electron microscope. These teams, the difference between the Jets and the Blues is not as big. And you're seeing it on the ice. You're absolutely seeing it on the ice, and you're seeing it with the Golden Knights and the Knights in the Wild. They're not. Now you look in the East, and all those series went 3-1, 5 games. All those series could end up in 5 games, right? Possibly, right? You could see. Oh, actually, Toronto's in Game 6 right now, but
Toronto's in Game 6.
Right, 3 of those games all went 3-1. The difference there is a little bit wider. The gap is wider, right? Than what you're seeing. So the eye test, when you look at this paper, you say Minnesota should, the Knights should wipe out Minnesota. On paper, maybe. But when the eye test tells you no, not a true statement, right? Ryan Green, Aaron Nels, thank you for putting the thumbs in the air. We greatly appreciate that. You still with me, bud? Justin might have froze there for a second. We'll kind of wait for him to pop back. Yeah, I was wondering, couldn't tell if he froze or not. Yeah, I think he froze.
Okay, buddy.
No problem. You froze there for a second. Either you froze or I froze. One of the two.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think it was clicking out altogether. It wasn't so much the points difference that I was referring to. It's just for me, it felt like the depth of Vegas was just better than the depth of Minnesota. And I do think, like, Kaprizov, man, the man is a monster out there. I mean, he's a good player, man. He's probably one of the best Minnesota players. I think he is actually the greatest Minnesota player, depending on, I don't know how Minnesota fans feel about that, but he is a game changer, that's for sure. And the fact that he's shown up big in this series, while like guys like kind of like Eichel and all that have kind of been radio silent really in this series for the beginning of this series. So I think that paid massive dividend.
Toronto, that didn't last long. Toronto gets on the board, makes it 3-2. 3 shots later, shots were 17 apiece, and now 20-17. Toronto swarms the net and just gets one from the blue line. I can't tell who fired that. Pasquaretti. Oh, nice shot too.
Pasquaretti.
To a screen goalie. Right.
Yep.
So with 5:39
big goal for
to go,
Toronto.
Toronto is up 5-3 or 3-2 in Game 6. So we're moving along here. We're at the 52-minute mark. Let's go ahead and talk about Game 6 coming up tomorrow at 7:00 Eastern, or Central Daylight Time, 8:00 Eastern Daylight Time. The Blues will be taking on the Winnipeg Jets in St. Louis. I'll let you give the keys. Let you give the 3 keys for the Blues. I'll give the 3 keys for the Jets, and we'll do it one key each. I'll go with you first. First key for the Blues tomorrow night.
I think it's got to be what we've preached about and Montgomery's preached about for most of the series. It's got to be the net front presence for the Blues. I think they got to get back to staying in front. I mean, I guess I can't say get back to it, because I do think that they have still done a admirable job of trying to get in front of that net and clear Winnipeg out and take Hellebuck's eyes away. But I think that needs to be a major key going into tomorrow's game.
So my first key kind of goes along the lines with this. For Winnipeg, it's all on Hellebuyck. You've got to be a goldfish. You got to get that memory. And then again, Hellebuyck did not play that good yesterday, right? You go back and you look at yesterday's games. I look at the numbers for Hellebuyck for yesterday. Let me pull them up here real quick just to I want to make sure I get them right. He was and I'm pulling up the wrong number. Damn it, guy, come on.
I don't want to cut your point off, but I do have to kind of agree with you on that one. Like, I feel like if you look at the goal, I know a lot of Winnipeg fans were drawing remarks to the shorthanded chance that the Blues got on Sundqvist when he saved it with his stick.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I get it. Great save. Sundqvist fired that puck in.
Right.
What's up, sorry?
Yeah, he was 16 for 19, and I'm going to say that's a 3.0 goals against average because he played the whole 60 minutes. But I think that save percentage wise, that's got to be. See if the other.
It's like high 80s. Or a high 800s, I think, probably.
Yeah, something like that. But it's not a really good save percentage when you think about it.
No.
See if I can pull this up here real quick. No, they don't have
it. And like I was saying, you look back you look back at the save, right? So we had a bunch of Winnipeg fans talking about, like MVP and all, and they were showing the save on Sundqvist with a stick. The net was wide open, and Sundqvist put this puck as close to Hellebuck as he possibly could have got to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's not Connor Hellebuck being just a star-studded,
That was a pure
heroic.
That was a pure luck.
That was pure luck that he got that save.
Right.
There was no way if Sundqvist fires that puck more to the left, Hellebuck doesn't get that puck.
Yep.
He's so far out of position, it's not even funny.
So your first key for the Blues is pucks in front of the net, make Hellebuck uncomfortable. My first key for the Jets is Hellebuck's gotta have a good game finally, because he really hasn't. What's your second key for the St. Louis Blues tomorrow night against the Winnipeg Jets?
I think you made a good point when it comes to forgetting about what happened in previous games, and I think a major key point is the Blues need to forget about what happened in Game 5. They should play this. They need to play this game as if the series is tied or they're about to take the Jets home. They need to play as if Game 5 never even happened. They didn't lose 5-3. They didn't have 3 shots in the second period. They just need to show up and play their game. And I think the physicality for sure needs to be amped up in Game 6. I think if you're going to force this game to 7, or the series to 7, you need to get physical. And I think that's where we might see the Blues capitalize in a Game 7 if you continue to keep up that physicality that the Blues have had all series. Because it's going to wear Winnipeg down.
I like that.
That's what the Blues wanted.
My second key for the Jets is who's next, right? With Scheifele being down, you got Velarde back, but you use that as an excuse. Oh, we got blown out because Velarde wasn't there. Well, now you don't have Scheifele. Your best player is gone for Game 6. Who steps up? Connor had a great 3-point game last game. Connor has been a Blues killer. Who's next? Velarde didn't really, I mean, he was okay, but he didn't. Who's next? And that's what it's going to come down. Who's going to step up next for Winnipeg? All right? Yeah. So your second clue was be physical, and mine is who's next. Yes. What is your last and final key, the third key for the St. Louis Blues tomorrow night against the Jets?
Let's see. I'm thinking that I think we need to see a defensive clinic by the Blues. I think we need to see a defensive clinic by the Blues. I think regardless, I don't see this game going in the way of like 3-4 where the Blues just completely dominated the Jets. I do think that the Blues will be coming out firing on all cylinders. I really do. On home ice, you don't get a 14-game home win streak by being lucky. So the Blues are going to come out and they're going to be firing. I think that they need to get back and stick to the defensive juggernaut that they've kind of really honestly shown in this series for the most part, maybe outside of Game 5. I think that they just need to keep wearing the Winnipeg Jets down in that aspect.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on this. I understand where you're going, but for me, oh, wow, Toronto just missed putting this game away with 40 seconds left. Just missed an empty net. To me, you remember the movie Moneyball, and you know I forget his name, the bigger actor. I can't think of his name now. I know who he is. I just can't think of his name. He talks about, he's talking to Brad Pitt, and he goes, "There's this misunderstanding of where wins come from in baseball, and I think there's a misunderstanding in hockey about what's defense and what's offense. And when you say put on a defensive clinic, defensive teams don't score, they don't win. Believe it or not. I think, and I've used this term, if they're defensively responsible, then that's going to be great because then they're being offensively aggressive. And if they're doing that, then they're doing the other thing. So again, while I understand what you're saying, don't get me wrong, I just slightly disagree with it.
And maybe that was kind of the words that I was thinking of. I just wasn't kind of saying the right. I just think that the Blues need to stick to their team game. The reason that they have been where they are, the reason that they got to where they are, where they're in the playoffs now for the first time in 2 years, they need to stick to that team tightness that they've really had over the last 2.5 months.
Well, Toronto advances,
and I do.
Toronto advances 4-2. They get an empty net goal late from Nylander, and there's like 18 seconds left in this game, and there's no way that Ottawa's getting 2 goals in 18 seconds, no matter what they do. So Toronto puts 1 ghost in the closet, locks 1 ghost away, and will advance to the second round.
You gotta feel good. I know it doesn't feel good as a Toronto fan, that's for sure.
Yeah. So my third and final key for the Jets, and first of all, I looked it up. All right, I did the math. Hellebuck was 842 in the game against the Blues, and 842. 842 is not going to win you a lot of hockey games, right?
That's not really good. No.
That save percentage is not going to win you a lot of hockey games, right?
No.
Somebody trying to stir up the pot right now. Love you, buddy. My third key for Winnipeg is simple. Take the crowd out. When St. Louis was able to do that in Winnipeg, they took control of that game a little bit. When they got that goal that tied that game up, that crowd went absolutely silent. And you could tell from Winnipeg, they didn't feel that. If Winnipeg can do that in St. Louis, and they have yet to be able to do that, they have not. Even when Winnipeg took that 1-0 lead, that crowd was still loud. You were there. You were at Game 4, right? Even after he takes that lead,
we were very loud.
That crowd never got down. They never got quiet. They stayed cheering. They stayed with the game and with the team.
Yeah. So
with that being said, Winnipeg has to take that crowd out, and they take that crowd out by getting 2 or 3 fast goals, or getting up 2-0 in the first, or 3-0 in the second, and that. Okay, fair enough. I get that.
I'm expecting an electric crowd tomorrow night. I really am. I'm expecting. I think games 3 and 4 we had a great crowd, and we got the famous, we won Connor chants, which that was fantastic. I think we're going to be seeing. We might see the best crowd tomorrow night, and that says a lot coming from me, from one of the guys that was in the crowd for Game 4. But I think we're going to see a good crowd tomorrow. I think going back, I know I kind of gave my points, but I think another big thing is if you can shut down that Connor line, I think the Blues are going to find success in this game.
Well, I think that goes with
you shut down Connor. Yeah. Well, and I wish I would have chose a little bit better words to say, because I think the team toughness sounds better than a defensive clinic. I do kind of get what you're saying about, like, oh, defensive clinic sounds like, oh, you don't score. I just meant, like, I don't think that this game is going to be a blowout like it was in Game 3 and 4. I think the Blues are going to have to earn this win, and I want the Blues to earn this win because because adversity helps teams in the end. And I think that's partly why I think, for me, like I was talking to you about this, even if the Jets win this series, I don't see the Jets going anywhere near the finals. First off, I don't even see them advancing in the second round, because the team.
you know, they're
the
going to
the
get
adverse.
they're going to get a Dallas
Sorry,
team.
go ahead.
No, they're going to get a Dallas team or I think they're going to get a Dallas team, to be honest with you. But they're going to get either a Dallas team or a Colorado team that is hungry. Well, Dallas especially. They're going to get a Dallas team that's hungry.
Yeah.
And I think Dallas, like if the Blues somehow advance and we got to face, most people would say, I want to face Dallas over Colorado. I don't. I think Dallas is hungry. And the only goalie, there's two goalies that I think stack up to Bennington in the playoffs remaining. And Ottinger's one of them, right? The other one's Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
Other than that, so yeah. I'll take Blackwood. I'll take Bennington over Blackwood any day of the week.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is the way I think about this is if the Blues come in Game 6 and we win, and I'm fully expecting the Blues to be humming and playing well, and I personally, for me, I think the Blues are going to force 7. That's just me. Maybe that's the Blues fan in me with the bias, but I think the Blues force Game 7. And if that happens, if I'm a Winnipeg fan, I'm still worried. Even though this Game 7 is going to be in Winnipeg, I'm still worried if I'm a Winnipeg fan because Jordan Binnington in Game 7s, I don't know. I would be worried if I was a Jets fan.
I'm with you. But I understand where you're going. I felt like when the Blues had a chance in Winnipeg, they needed to really win that game in Winnipeg. They really did, in my eyes, because
they did.
I get what you're saying with Game 7, but you put that whiteout in Game 7, and we struggled in the whiteout. I felt like we needed to win Game 6 to come home with a chance to close it and not have to go back. Because we have not done well in the whiteout. And while the games have been semi-close, we still haven't been able to get a lead and stay with a lead. I don't think we've led. Trying to think now. In game 1, we may have led for a little bit.
The series numbers.
We led a little bit in Game 2. I think we got the first goal in Game 2.
The series numbers, if I'm correct.
There was no Game 7 in 19. That one only went 6.
No, only Game 6. Yeah, only went 6. This
is a good point. Bob Martin makes a good point. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to walk over you. But I think when games are blowout and chalk it up to as we didn't show, if the Blues win a close game, it can demoralize the Jets. That's a great point. Great point.
For me, I think, like I said, and I'm still impressed. Like I was telling my buddy that, like, win or lose, like the quote behind you says, like they weren't even supposed to be here. No one had the Blues making the playoffs. They've beat the President's Trophy winners twice. I'm still proud of this team, whether they win or lose. I would like to see them advance. I still think that there's a lot more left in this team, in the playoffs especially. But like I said, I personally think either way, the second round matchups for either one of these teams is going to be some insurmountable odds. Like a Dallas team that's hungry, a Colorado team that has very, very good star power. It's going to be tough, and especially with how physical this series has been, it's been the most physical series in the playoffs. So these two teams have taken a lot out of each other.
Yep. Experience matters. That is a good point. I look at it this way, and we kind of talked about it. So I actually think the Jets are going to win tomorrow night. I really do. I just have this feeling that the load is spent. Not that we don't have a great team or a good team. I just think that the time together, they're gelling, and every team that gels needs that little dip, right? And a lot of people forget this. Even in 19, towards the end, the Blues dipped a little until and when they got into the playoffs, They were the road warriors. They sucked at home. The Blues, I think the Blues only won 3 games at home, 3 or 4 games at home. Of the 16 wins, most of them were on the road. Well, Bennington was 16-10. The majority of those 10 losses were at home, right?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And that's the other thing that a lot of people forget. See, and when Jordan's second year, I wasn't, and if Ashley was here, she can tell you, I was on Jordan a little bit because everyone talked about, he set the rookie record for wins. He also tied the rookie record for losses, right? The rookie record for losses was 10. He was going to, that last game, he was going to set one of those records, right? Yeah. He was going to set one of those records. I came on early today because I plan on driving tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Justin, right? And I apologize when I do that. Sometimes I got to deal with comments, right? So, and I don't think you can see the comments, but I have the comment board. So,
I can't. No, you're good. You don't have to apologize. I don't want to cut you off either. So.
Yeah, no, you're fine, man. Guys, 19 was 6 years ago. Most of the team was out here in 19. Good point. So that means there's not a lot of experience. When you say experience matters, I think the Jets have playoff experience where the Blues don't. Blues have some playoff experience, but not, playoff experience now. So I don't know. I mean, you could look at that a couple of different ways, right? Let's go check out the NHL real quick here. So today there are 4 games and we have 1 advance. So if we look, I got it covered right now with Monte, but the Toronto Maple Leafs have advanced to the second round to take on the Florida Panthers. That series will probably start Monday. My guess is that's going to start Monday. They could start it Sunday. They really could start that Sunday because right now they only have 1 game on Sunday. They could start that series on Sunday depending on what happens tonight, right? If the Blue, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I just was saying. I was going to say I think my guess would probably actually be Monday because I don't think they schedule round 2 games until after 1 is done. At least the day after.
If the round 2s are done early, they will. If the round 2s are done early, they will. And they've done it in the past. And then they have the other series kind of catch up, right? So I could see that, right? Where the round 1 starts Sunday. And then at least one of the West starts on Monday, and then the other one starts on Tuesday. We could see that, especially if that one does go 7. And right now my computer is refreshing, not giving me what I need it to give me. So let me go to
I think for Toronto, I think their Sens really showed some fight. And you knew that they would, being a young team and being hungry and all that, and not being in the playoffs for so long. But the real test for Toronto doesn't start until they play Florida.
Yeah,
Florida's going to be the real test.
Yeah, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So the Maple Leafs advance 4-2 in 6 games and win the series 4-2. The other game that's currently going on, the Golden Knights are up on the Wild 2-1 with 14-12 to go in the third. Vegas is trying to close that series out tonight. Justin, I had a wonderful time with you tonight, man.
I don't want that. You too, man. I appreciate you. Really? Let me.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just, like I said, I go back to what I said earlier. I appreciate you letting me come on and actually have a voice and getting my voice out there. And it was fun interacting with the chat, even though I can't I can't see them physically. But it was great coming on and getting to talk Blues hockey. It's always something that I wanted to do. So.
Well, I'll be honest, Justin, I'm looking for a co-host for next season. I might want to talk to you about that. right? I might want to talk to you because I
All
really
right.
did enjoy this, right?
That sounds great. I'm definitely a little it's a little new for me. It's not
Yeah.
I wasn't perfect. I'm sure I'll get some slack or some heat for stuff that I've said, but that's nothing I haven't been able to take before. So
Dude, I haven't had a perfect show yet, and I've been doing this 6 years. And it'll probably be 60 years before I have a perfect show. I have good shows and I have bad shows. I have yet to have a perfect one. So don't you worry about that at all. I mean,
it's
at
tough,
all.
man.
And I'm being 100% honest with you. Do not worry about that at all. I do not know what's going on with my laptop right now, but it is not refreshing at all.
I know definitely. Sorry, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was assisting you on trying if your computer was acting up. I believe Dallas and Colorado are going to be getting started here in about like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, they start. Yeah, they should be starting here. Yeah, it's like 4 minutes. They're showing that one. I just seen that. So we've got over here. I'll get it. Toronto is going to advance and move over here. Jobu, sorry. They're going to play Florida. Don't know when that's going to start yet. We'll talk about it. Nobody has advanced in the West yet. However, Vegas and Edmonton could advance tonight. Or no, Dallas too. Dallas, Vegas, and Edmonton could all advance tonight. Right? Again, Justin, I had a great time, man. Good, fun show. Let's talk about you coming back on. Maybe tomorrow, if you want to come on like during intermissions, because I know you may not be up to doing like I do, coming on game stuff. But if you want to pop on during the intermissions, that's something we can talk about.
Yeah, I might show up. Yeah, I might show up for the intermission shows. It'll definitely give me a reason to pop on for sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think this was a fun time.
I enjoyed it too. I hope all you guys out there enjoyed Justin Scott joining me here on the Blue Note Fan Report. I am Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan. We were talking hockey tonight on the Blue Note Fan Report. We will be here tomorrow at 6:30 Central Daylight Time. That's right. You hate it, but that's what it is. Central Daylight Time. At 6:30 tomorrow, the Blue Note Fan Report will be here. And we will be discussing the Blues and the Jets in Game 6 while in St. Louis. It will be the only game tomorrow night. We will be at All Eyes on St. Louis. So this is Guy and Justin saying aloha, mahalo. And you know what? Justin, stick around, please. You know what? Boys, what do you got for me? Are you there, boys? Where are my boys? Where are my boys at? Here, my boys.
Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.